Restarts are often necessary and needed, and yet that doesn't mean that it doesn't come without challenges. There are many things that we face once we restart things. There are many opportunities, and along with the opportunities always come challenges. We will talk about Renegade Restart, the challenges, and more on this episode of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Oh, whoa, you trying to do a show without me?
Yes, I guess that was the thought process.
I knew you were going to use me until I got you where you wanted to be, and then you just discard me.
Yes, something like that.
I hear it happens.
It does. Nope, missed click of a button. I got wrapped up in the topic in my head and forgot to click a button to bring you back into the show. So my apologies.
I understand. It's all good. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for today's program.
You are? Excellent.
I am.
I'm excited about a lot of things. We had a great conversation yesterday.
We did.
And we shared some new things that are coming up. And so if you didn't get a chance to catch that yesterday, we did a special announcement, special video on all of the same social media channels.
I think I can put a link to it if I do a little homework here.
Ooh.
Look at that. You talk for a minute while I do my homework.
I can do that. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. Each day, we have a conversation around the topic of the week. This week's topic, as I mentioned in the opening, is the Renegade Restart. And as we go through that conversation, we would encourage you to share your thoughts and ideas, because we know that it'll add value to our show and might impact what we have to share or the way that we look at it, the perspective that we have around this topic. So we would encourage you that no matter what platform you happen to be on, whether it is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or
LinkedIn Live, you threw me because I was trying to grab it. You're messing.
Or LinkedIn Live, baby, as Bob likes to say.
They're getting ready to copyright that, Tom.
They are. It's going to be called LinkedIn Live, baby.
Yeah.
I like that. You getting a big royalty for that? Coming up with that idea?
I can only hope. I would love that.
Excellent. They should maybe advertise on this show.
Yes.
So anyhow, we welcome your comments, thoughts, and ideas. And at the end of our conversation, Bob and I will each share our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you when you're stuck, maybe today, or maybe somewhere down the road, and can't figure out your next step. That you will use this antidote to help you move forward and find your own unique pathway to success. And of course, you are welcome to share your one thing as well, because we know that when we share our value, that we help others figure out how to move forward. So, all that being said, before we dive into our topic, even though I know Bob is chomping at the bit to get at the topic, we always start our mornings off with celebrations. So, Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I am celebrating that yesterday you were kind enough to take a couple hours of your time to help me figure out some things with my business pursuits that I know in absolute certainty I could not have figured out on my own. And I left that couple of hours with much more clarity around what my next steps are, and also, more importantly, why they are the next steps. And I think there's one thing to know what your next step is. It's another to know why it's your next step, and also to see where it fits into a sequence of steps. So I think what we did yesterday is we mapped out, for me, maybe 20 steps. And also, I think we mapped out a couple things like, if this step goes this way, go here. I mean, we really mapped out a course for maybe 3-6 months, maybe a year. We talked about a year, but I don't know, because I think there'll be course corrections and restarts. But to me, it was a powerful example of where having someone else help you figure the things out that you've been percolating in your head for weeks, months, years really pays off.
Well, thanks. Well, I think one of the things about it is that the longer it percolates in your head, I think the more you feel like you've covered every perspective and every angle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you bring someone else in, that they can see some things that you struggle to see, because you feel like it's been sitting in your head and you have it all figured out.
And you didn't tell me what to do at all. That because sometimes I think people think when you bring that other person in, you're expecting that other person to tell you what to do. You didn't tell me one time yesterday what to do. You brought up a couple of things about, well, what about this? What about that? I thought you said earlier that, but you never, not once did you dictate, hey, I think your next step should be this.
Yeah. It's part of helping you find your next step.
Right. Right. And I think that's the beauty of coaching. And you and I both get coached. And sometimes people are like, well, do coaches get coached? I think coaches often get coached. And I think it's really important to get coached because we can't see it all ourselves. Just can't.
Well, I would wonder if you're a coach at encouraging other people to have a coach, and yet you don't do that. Why? I wouldn't understand that. Like if you are telling everybody else the value of coaching and yet you aren't leveraging it, it's something interesting there.
That would probably be my first question to a prospective coach.
Yeah.
Tell me about the coaches you've had and what they've done for you.
Yeah, I would agree.
Hint to everyone out there if you're looking for a coach.
There's a shameless plug at the start of the show. For us.
Oh, no, but it could be any coach.
Oh, well, yes, true. And it could be us.
If I were trying to improve my golf swing and I went to see a golf coach, my first question to him would be, are you coached? Have you been coached? If he said, no, I'm a natural, I'd be like, okay, thank you. Have a great day.
Yes. And not that they might not
be skilled at, right.
Just means that they are likely caught in their own, and all of our knowledge, experience, and perspective is limited.
So what are you celebrating today, Tom?
So I am celebrating. I'm going to cheat. I have two things I'm celebrating. Sorry.
Rule breaker.
Well, you usually tell me how hard it is to come up that I have coming up with things. So
well, why don't you save one for tomorrow?
All right, I'll do that.
Okay.
So this month at my gym is marathon month.
Okay.
And so you can choose to sign up. And the goal is to complete a marathon on the tread over the course of the month. And yeah, that doesn't mean that it doesn't.
Oh, sorry.
What's going on there?
I hit the wrong button.
All right. So now each of us have hit the wrong button.
Yes.
I just forgot to hit one. You hit the wrong one. So the challenge is that, you don't go to class every day. And when you go to class, you only spend 23 minutes on the treadmill. And it's almost always guided. They say like, okay, do this. And sometimes it's like, go at an all out pace. Sometimes it's just walk. Sometimes it's like what they call a push or your base. So it's all over the place. And so I was at about a week and a half ago when I was barely halfway towards my marathon. And with a little bit of commitment and dedication, I was able to last night on the last day of the month complete my 26.2 miles. I actually I got exactly 27 miles, which is kind of interesting.
Wow.
And so that is my celebration.
Nice. Wow.
Not sure that I will ever do a full marathon all in one day. So this is.
Have you ever done a half marathon?
No.
I have, with the torn hamstring. Good times.
That doesn't sound like a lot of fun.
It was not.
Or probably what's most beneficial for you.
It was a fundraiser. So yeah. It was one of those, I walked a lot of it, but it's a long.
That's the hardest part. Like yesterday, we could just run for 23 minutes at whatever pace we wanted.
Right.
I think so that people could try their best to get it in. And it's just a long time. I just find myself getting more and more bored as the time goes on. I have to really fortunately, we have great music, and there's a coach that's kind of walking around, and there's other people surrounding you. So there's some
treadmill running it can get boring.
Yeah,
that's why I like running outside.
Yes, I would agree.
All right, well,
that's my celebration.
I like it. Congratulations. That's great. That's a lot of miles in a month.
For me, absolutely.
It would be for me. I don't know. I probably logged 2, 4, 6, maybe 12 miles last month running. So let's move to the topic, Tom. I know people are anxious to see this Renegade restart, and we're talking about the challenges today. And I'm going to offer some of the challenges based on the experience I had yesterday with you. We kind of restarted some things for me. And you asked me earlier what's going through my head today after sleeping on it for a night. And I will tell you, here are the things, being completely honest. Am I asking too much of myself? Did I pick the right things? Did I do the steps in the right order? Can I really hit the number in terms of revenue that I offered, which was a stretch? What will people think if I start to do these things and do these things well? And on the other side, this seems almost too logical. Maybe I'm missing something, because it really does make perfect sense. And it really plays to the things I really like doing anyway. And it sounds like a whole lot of fun, and it's supposed to be work. And if it's work and it's fun, is someone going to catch me and tell me I can't have fun doing my work? Those are some of the thoughts rolling through my head. And I think each of those is its own unique challenge, right?
Sure. Certainly. No doubt. I mean, with each of those statements, there are challenges, and I'm sure that others who do restarts have many of the same questions that go through their head. And, I think that with each of those questions, it all just depends on how you answer it.
Of course.
And I think that there's the opportunity to answer all of those differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's not always easy to see. All we're thinking about is, okay, what have I committed to here? And what happens if, even though I took the best attempt based on all the knowledge, experience, and perspective I have, what if it doesn't go the way I think it's going to go?
Right. Or I miscalculated.
Or like we talked about yesterday, what's the first step?
Right.
That sometimes is, as you mentioned a little bit, is like, okay, I got all these possibilities and choices. Which one of them am I going to do first?
Right. And I think another thing is going through my head is, why didn't I think of this sooner? Wow, it's not rocket science. I mean, it really is not rocket science what we did yesterday. I'm not to take anything away from your brilliant coaching, Tom, but we didn't plan a trip to Mars. We didn't do anything quite as crazy as NASA, but it still felt like it was a lot of work in some ways. And it also felt really easy in some ways. And I think the easy part is what causes me the most alarm today. It's like, man, that really, all the things, like I got up this morning, I'm like, okay, I have my to-do list based on the things we talked about yesterday. And there aren't any on there like, really, I don't want to do that. Oh, I have to do that. They're all, I want to do things. And I think that creates another challenge, which is, am I going to be able to see all the challenges coming along, or am I looking at everything with rose-colored glasses this morning?
Well, I think that, all of those are I'm sure people who are out there listening have gone through before. And I think, one of the other challenges is that, and I think you're getting to this, like, sometimes you can say, wow, that was easy. Or, wow, it's easy to just write it down. The challenge or the hard part is actually in executing what we're doing and being committed to doing it. And I think one of the things, I guess I don't know that I want to get into, well, maybe. I think one of the things that we talked about yesterday were some potential solutions to some of those challenges that were faced. And I think that's one of the one of the things I really valued about how it went yesterday was that somehow or another I had asked you, what's going on, and we started talking about some of those challenges. And I think that's sometimes one of the things that's forgotten is as we go through this restart, we're like, oh, got it ready to go and all this, and haven't really considered what might stand in our way. Because likely what might stand in our way for the restart, there's a pretty good chance is what stood in our way with the last thing.
Yes.
And I think those are the things we don't always consider. And if we aren't addressing that, and it goes a little bit back to when the reason that we feel like we need a restart is it's usually based on the results that we get. And while that's valuable, that's not the whole picture, because it might just be the timing. It might just be the season. It might be more about the actions that you took rather than the results you got. And I think when we think it's about results, we're just like, oh, okay, all right, we got a new plan. We're going to do things differently. It's going to be great, without considering like what might get in our way. And I think taking the time to identify those is a really helpful tool. The hard part is you can't always identify all the challenges.
I had one come up this morning.
And so it's how am I going to address that when that comes up? And I think that's the next really key question is once I've identified it, do I have a plan, that will help me not stay stuck? I was working with a client 2 days ago, I think this week. And, they were telling me about some of the challenges that they're currently facing. And we talked about okay, so when does this typically happen? And can you see a reason of what triggers that reaction? And then we tried to work through. And my next question was, okay, well, what's something that in the past has helped you get out of that feeling stuck? So that we could consider what are some things you might do moving forward to get stuck. I had someone I had done this before with who was in the fundraising world, and they were always frustrated. They were a mid-level person in their organization, and senior leadership would make decisions that they would just be frustrated by. And they spent a lot of time sitting at their desk being frustrated with what was going on and spending time thinking about, well, why are they doing this? This might be a different way or another way that we could do it. And they felt like it was really unproductive. And so we just talked through okay, well, what's something that's productive that you could do to help you reduce the amount of time that you are spent feeling frustrated or stuck or upset or angry or unable to get through a challenge. And it was interesting. So we came up with a solution with something that they really like to do, with something that they knew would add value to the organization and was challenging enough that their mind would have to focus on it so that it wouldn't focus on something else. And I caught up with them, I don't know, a few months or weeks later, and they just told me how valuable it was. And they said they were sending out note cards, thank you cards, personally written cards to donors. And they said just how many note cards they had wrote and how helpful it was to get them to get out of that state, do something else, and then, move forward. And so I think the fact that we had a conversation around what are some ways that you could potentially address some of these challenges, I think is really helpful.
Yeah, I think the more we can explore the challenges before they come up, the less power they have over us. I had a challenge come up this morning with my stuff that, yesterday I was all excited. I had a list of things to do today, and now I have a sick cat that I've got to deal with. And it's like, oh, but we did talk about if things got in the way, and we didn't really, we worked it out. And so I felt like I was prepared for that challenge in a way that I wouldn't have been otherwise. I think that's part of it. If you can be prepared to face the challenges, they become much less threatening and much less powerful. In fact, I think that might be my one thing, looking at the potential challenges, being honest with yourself. We were talking yesterday about how many hours a week I wanted to work. And we were being, I was being optimistic. And then it was like, okay, what's your real goal? What would you like to work? And wasn't any judgment there that I saw, but it was just like, okay, this would be what I'm really looking for. And I think that's one of those steps. If you're going to build a schedule that says you're going to work 200 hours a week and you're only going to work 20, it's not going to work. You've created a huge 180-hour challenge.
Yes.
And I think we do that all the time. That's just one example. Or we say we're going to make 50 sales calls a day, knowing full well there's no way we can get 50 people on the phone. So
yeah, being realistic is a key part of it.
And I think that's where you need an outside person to help you to really test because I think we have optimism behind us when it's us. And when someone else goes, hey, okay, that's it. If that's it, okay, but what does that mean for this?
Well, it was interesting. So another story on that. We were at a retreat a long time ago when we were doing some planning for a campaign and a fundraising campaign at an institution that I was at. And the board was with us, our board of directors, which was great. So we were going through our plan and explaining like how we were going to do this. And one of the pieces was that we were going to individually solicit, I forget what the number was, like 500 and some people, one-on-one.
Wow.
Yeah, which didn't seem like a whole lot at the time. So of course, the person's giving their share, and I look over and I see this board member doing some calculations on his thing, and he finally raised his hand. He's like, well, I got a question. It's like, you say you want to solicit, I can't remember exactly what the number was, but so there's one of you, and you're telling me that the public part of this campaign is 2 years long. So that means that you are going to, and you only, let's say you work 50 weeks and there's 5 days in the week. So there's 250 days. And you're telling me that every day you're going to solicit 2 people for the next 2 years. And everybody on the staff just like took pause. And, because I think we were like, okay, this is what we need to do to get to where we want to get to. And we said, well, that makes complete sense. Okay. We don't always go back and be like, hadn't really thought about that number, seemed to make sense. Didn't consider like how many that was going to mean we were going to have to do each day or each week or each month, and what the possibilities were of that actually happening. So it was just a really fascinating, and I'll never forget that. It was just one of those moments that, even though it was 20 some years ago, one of those moments I'll never forget is that sort of crash back to earth of somebody else's perspective. They were looking at it differently. Mm-hmm. And when they shared that, it didn't seem as realistic as it did before.
I like that story. Well, Tom, I think we've covered a lot of ground here today on the challenges of the Renegade Restart. Would you like to wrap things up? Because I know people have busy lives.
Do I get to give my one thing?
I thought you did.
No, I was giving an example as a part of your one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead then. I apologize.
That's all right. It's interesting when I think about the challenges of a restart. It is that they're there. The thought of considering them, I think, is a really key one. And I think it's one that's really hard to do because you get so excited about the new possibilities that you have created. And, and I think just for me, it's just the constant reminder of, with every possibility, opportunity, there are challenges. And with every challenges, they create new opportunities to discover things that we hadn't ever thought about before. Or, to leverage something that we had already considered. So I think for me, if that can not want you to look forward to the challenges, I think you can feel less nervous about them when they pop up. Because I think, and for example, I think when we talked about it with you, we came up with a potential solution for a lot of potential upcoming challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when we know that, it can be easier to move forward and less worried about what are the results going to be, and more worried about making sure that we take the actions and how we'll deal with things like that action didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. Now what?
Right.
And so that we don't get caught in the challenge, we figure out how to address it, or we've already figured out how we might address it and move forward.
I like it, being proactive to avoid getting stuck or overwhelmed.
Yes.
I like that.
All right, everyone. If you have your one thing you'd like to share, please feel free to share it in the comments. If you're listening to the podcast, we understand you're not able to do that. But so we would encourage you could do one of two things. You could go to our Ring of Renegades Facebook group and share your thoughts and ideas there. If you're not really a Facebook person, we have created a LinkedIn group. It's called the Renegade Success Network for Leaders, where you can go and share your thoughts and ideas there. So providing it's a restart for us was that not everybody wants to connect and engage on Facebook. Maybe they're interested in LinkedIn. So we are now going to have a plan there, an opportunity for you to connect and engage there. So we look forward to seeing you in either one of those communities, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time for Bob's favorite show of the week.
Discoveries of the week.
Yes, we will share our discoveries of the week tomorrow morning. So we look forward to seeing you then. Go out. I hope you have a great day.
That was pretty lackluster. You want to try that again?
Sure. So we look forward to seeing you there or on our show tomorrow. Until then, go out and make it a great day.
Oh, very nice. Well done. And embrace the renegading you. It is so worth it.
It is.
There you go.
All right, everyone. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.